In this video, we will be talking about arthropods, which belong to the phylum of Arthropoda. They are the largest phylum in the animal kingdom, making up approximately 84% of it. They are always multicellular animals, however, the large array of arthropods vary in habitat and diet. While many arthropods differ in certain aspects, there are characteristics that define an arthropod. All arthropods have hard protective exoskeletons and movable legs which are connected by joints. Due to arthropods varying so much other than the defining characteristics, biologists split arthropods into 4 subphylums. These subphylums are chelicerates, myriapods, insects, and crustaceans. While all the species in each subphylum is classified as an arthropod, they all have very different body structures and lifestyles. The first subphylum of arthropods that we are going to look at is chelicerates. A chelicerate is any arthropod that has 2 body segments, the cephalothorax, or better known as the prosma, and an abdomen. They also always have 4 pairs of appendages. However, what distinguishes them the most is their lack of antennae. Some common examples of chelicerates are spiders, scorpions, and ticks. The second subphylum of arthropods that we will discuss is myriapods. Myriapods are arthropods that have multiple body segments, each with a pair of legs. Myriapods have a simple pair of antennae and eyes and are usually found under logs or stone. Some common examples of myriapods are millipedes, centipedes, and pauropoda. The third subphylum of arthropods that we will discuss is insects. All insects have 3 body segments, the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. They have 3 pairs of legs and can have 0, 1, or 2 pairs of wings. Some common examples of insects are bees, ants, and beetles. The final subphylum of arthropods are crustaceans. Crustaceans always have 5 pairs of jointed appendages and 2 pairs of antennae. The general body segments include the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. However, the most distinguishing aspect of crustaceans are the fact that they live exclusively underwater. Some common examples of crustaceans are crab, krill, and shrimp. All arthropods came from a common ancestor. Arthropods first appeared during the Cambrian period around 448 to 542 million years ago. The first arthropods were trilobites, meristomes, and crustaceans. Trilobites are the earliest known arthropods. They are a group of extinct marine arthropods. Chelicerates are the most similar to trilobites, however, they also share similarities to many myriapods, crustaceans, and insects. Meristomes, or better known as the horseshoe crab, came around 100 million years after the trilobites. Meristomes are still around today and is often referred to as the walking fossil. Crustaceans first appeared 500 million years ago, making them the oldest arthropod out of all the main subphylum.
Body plan. Generally, arthropods have segmented bodies, usually consisting of a head, thorax, and abdomen, although in some cases the head and thorax are fused into one segment. The body segments and appendages of the arthropod are covered in an exoskeleton made of bone-like material called chitin. Arthropods are coelomates. A coelomate is an organism that has an internal body cavity containing all the organs of the organism. The organs are attached to each other via a mesoderm lining, but are still able to freely move around inside the body cavity. Insects have 3 body segments, divided into a head, thorax, and abdomen. Many insects have wings which are usually attached to their thorax. Crustaceans are composed of 3 body segments, the head, thorax, and abdomen, but in some cases the head and thorax are fused together to form a new body segment called a cephalothorax. Each body segment can have a pair of appendages. Aquatic species can have their hind legs on their abdomen specialized for swimming and/or have their abdomen and a tail also to help with swimming. Chelicerata, also known as arachnids. Unlike insects, Chelicerata could have 2 body segments. Many Chelicerata have a fused head and thorax, which could be called a cephalothorax. Unlike their insect counterparts, Chelicerata do not have antennae and often appear with pincers like scorpions. Myriapods have 1 pair of antennae, a single pair of mandibles, and primitive eyes, and many segments that are not fused together. They range from nearly microscopic to about 30 centimeters in length. They're also usually identifiable by their large quantity of legs, ranging from 10 to about 750.
Different arthropods have vastly different diets and ways of obtaining their food. However, all arthropods are heterotrophs, meaning they consume other organisms for energy. While all arthropods are heterotrophs, many are herbivores and many are carnivores. Chelicerates are carnivores. They usually prey on other small insects for energy. However, chelicerates have a narrow gut, meaning they are unable to eat solid food. To get around this, chelicerates expel digestive enzymes onto their prey to liquefy them. Then, once the prey is liquefied, they suck the liquid food. In most spiders' case, they will trap prey in their silk cobweb. Then, once trapped, they vomit digestive enzymes on their prey until they are able to consume it. Myriapods contain organisms with very different diets. Myriapods such as millipedes, which are not poisonous, feed on damp or decaying logs, while myriapods such as centipedes, which are poisonous, feed on small, soft-bodied animals such as worms. They get their poison from either their jointed appendages or their stinger if they have one. A majority of insects are herbivores, feeding on leaves, roots, seeds, and nectar, with there being exceptions such as the leafhopper, which sucks sap from plants. While a majority of insects are herbivores, there are a few exceptions such as the praying mantis, which uses camouflage techniques to feed on many pest insects such as beetles, mosquitoes, and crickets. Most crustaceans are scavengers, however, certain crustaceans also capture their own food. The majority of crustaceans, such as crabs and shrimp, scavenge for dead creatures, sand, or plankton during the night, while crustaceans, such as lobster, use their large claws to capture other crustaceans and small fish.
Reproductive strategies. In arthropods, sperm is commonly transferred to the female within sealed packets called spermatophores. Among many arthropods, the spermatophores are placed on the ground by the male. The female is then either attracted to the packet via chemical signals, or the male places the packets on the ground and maneuvers the female into a position in which he could take the packet. Arthropods like centipedes have also been known to use the spermatophores in their courtship and mating rituals. Many arthropods also transfer free sperm, like many crustaceans, millipedes, and spiders, along with some mites and insects. Life cycles. In most species, the female lays yolk-rich eggs that births young that are hatched after a period of incubation and maturing. Alternatively, some species birth live young. In many crustacean species, the eggs hatch into larvae which are born with 3 body segments. The currents disperse the larva, and then the larva will go through multiple growing stages to develop into larger young. Insects will have all their body segments present at hatching, but their body will initially differ from the adults of the species. Many insects will also hatch as nymphs, which closely resemble the adults, but lack the wings. Myriapods will generally hatch looking like the adults, but lack many of the appendages. As an example, millipedes will only hatch with 7 appendages compared to the 750 of adults. Many arachnids will hatch looking very similarly to the adults of the species, like scorpions. Species such as mites and ticks will hatch similarly to adults, but lack the total amount of appendages. Mite babies are only born with 6 legs and grow the other 4 later in life. Many arthropods go through 1 or more larval stages before reaching adulthood. The larvae, in some cases, look vastly different from the adults. The different stages of maturity help the arthropod to evolve adaptations to suit specific functions and situations that they might encounter at that moment in life, such as growing or the need to find transportation or a mate. As they mature, the arthropod changes into their adult form in a process called metamorphosis. Arthropods going through metamorphosis are called pupa. This process and the reasons for different stages of life can be perfectly illustrated by the butterfly and how it goes from being a caterpillar and turning into a butterfly.
Here are true facts about the dung beetle. The dung beetle survives mainly or solely by eating the faces of other animals. It's terrifying. Wait, that's a typo. It eats the feces of other animals. Oh, it's even worse. The rolling dung beetle finds dung with its acute sense of smell. The dung beetle then selects a choice piece to roll into a bowl. Oh, that's disgusting. Cut it. Cut the clip. I told you I'm not going to narrate the footage of poop. It's just not going to happen. This isn't better. This has nothing to do with the dung beetle. Fine. The female dung beetles then judge their potential mates by the size of their balls. Oh, come on, that's a lynx. Wait, why is he stalking that Santa baby? Run away, Santa baby. After a mating pair is established, the female often attaches herself to the dung ball chariot, and the male rolls them away from the dung pile. He does this backwards by pushing on the ball with his hind legs. Imagine getting into a car and putting your head face down on the seat, and then steering with your butt. That is how the dung beetle do. Needless to say, they get lost from time to time. When it strays off course, the dung beetle climbs on top of its ball and uses the position of the sun, the moon, and even the Milky Way to reorient itself. Sort of like how ancient sailors once did, except without the giant ball of shit. Here, a scientist uses a mirror to confuse the hell out of a dung beetle. Along the way, he must face challengers who seek to claim his turd ball, the ensuing battle sometimes lasting for hours. When they have finally completed their journey, the young freaky couple digs a small hole in the soft sand. The female then lays her eggs inside the dung ball and then seals them up, using more dung, her saliva, and her own feces, just for good measure. And then when the baby is born, it eats its way out. The circle of life.
Ecological importance to diversity. Arthropods are very important to the ecological diversity as they make up 84% of all the species in the animal kingdom. Arthropods are a very important food source for many other species, like frogs, fish, many birds, and some animals. Arthropods also help with a lot of the decomposition of dead organisms. Haven't you ever seen a dead bug surrounded with about a bazillion ants around it? That's the ants helping to get rid of the bug by consuming it. Arthropods also help in the pollination of plants and flowers. The bees take pollen from one field of flowers to another, and not only help the genetic diversity of those fields, but help those plants and flowers reproduce. Many arthropods also consume many other species, like plants. Common uses for arthropods. Some arthropods produce venom, which could be used in medicine. Arthropods, such as bees and others that take nectar, help pollinate flowers and plants. Some arthropods help in the decomposition of dead animals. Arthropods produce or are many foodstuffs for humans, such as honey from bees and meat from crabs and lobster. The silks of many arthropods have been used in the production of clothing and other fabrics, and even in some forms of bulletproof vests. These provide other things except pollination and foodstuffs, like beeswax. Although many of these products are now artificially made, beeswax is still used in the production of candles, polishes, oils, and some hair products.
Humans have heavily impacted the habitats, ecosystems, diets, and livelihood of many arthropods. One way we greatly impact arthropods is through overfishing. Overfishing is when fish are caught at a faster rate than they can reproduce. This poses a huge threat towards crustaceans for two reasons. The first and most threatening reason is through overfishing of shrimp. In 2009, the Food and Agriculture Organization sent out a warning about the overfishing of shrimp. As well, since shrimp are a large part of lobster and other crustaceans' diet, these predator crustaceans face a famine. Another human impact on arthropods is deforestation. When cities are expanded, the large amount of wildlife is destroyed. This means that entire ecosystems are destroyed. This hurts arthropods as it makes finding habitat and food difficult. The final way that humans impact arthropods that we will discuss is the effects of global warming. Global warming causes warmer waters, which leads to coral bleaching, which is when coral have no algae. The lack of algae increases the vulnerability of coral and increase in infectious diseases. Due to the fact that coral is a habitat to crustaceans and a majority of their food, a large threat is posed towards them.